In the darkness, a single light gleams. This is the legacy of the Star Queens. Queen Estalaria, the first star. Estalaria butterfly was born in the twilight that preceded the spring equinox of the 28th year of the Munian calendar, when only the morning star shone in the sky. She carried a pair of violet five-pointed stars on her cheeks and had eyes of the same color. But what most attracted attention was her hair. It was violet too, but it was dotted with little bright spots like stars. Because of this, her mother named her as Estalaria, which according to the High Munian language means daughter of the stars. The oldest of 4 children, Estalaria had almost no memory as an only child. She was 3 when Lunaria was born, with light purple hair and eyes and pointed down moons on her cheeks. Red Dwarf was born when she was 5, and Orbita came 1 year later. Prince Red Dwarf looked just like Estalaria, except for the lack of cheek marks and stars and violet hair. On the other hand, Orbita was born similar to her mother. Since childhood, Estalaria had a cheerful and jovial personality. She had a quick, curious mind and a pragmatic vision. She used to chase stray cats that roamed the castle, being daily seen dirty and sloppy by the servants. This boy way of Estalaria was disappearing as she reached adolescence, and the way others looked at her too. Her silky hair was what most attracted attention, which she washed in separate water during the bath. The flattery she most heard was that her hair was a piece of stolen starry sky. She thought it was beautiful the first time she listened at age 12, but even before she was 13, she was already annoyed at how many times she heard it. An interesting fact, reported by the hairdresser responsible for the strands of Estalaria, is that they fell without the starry glow when they were cut. In 42 AM, Estalaria became the new owner of the wand. However, the gift that most attracted the attention of Estalaria was that of Jet Stone, the successor of 18 years of House Stone, a telescope. Her passion for astronomy would be born there. The young Stone deserves a special account. Years earlier, during one of the cultural events of Queen Usagina, Lord Jacinth Stone met an elf from Elfindor, a university dimension known as the Multidimensional Learning Capital. Upon winning a bet, Lord Jacinth convinced the elf to take his son Jet to be educated at Elfindor. Since the Stone are responsible for the Muni treasury, Lord Stone believed that his son's education would only bring benefits to the kingdom. Jet graduated in finance, astronomy, and razor cranes training before returning to Muni years later. Back to Estalaria, the princess proved to be a skilled student, but with a certain impatience. If she did some spell wrong, she would soon sulk. It was this impatience that led to the famous event at the end of year 42. It was between spring and summer that year. Estalaria was in the courtyard training her spell, Stardust Explosion, an evolution of the Stardust Blast, which consisted of a series of moves that would end with the wand up. After hours trying and unsuccessful, Estalaria simply tore the puffed sleeves of her dress and tried again. The fact that she had correctly done the spell didn't matter. What really caught everyone's attention on the courtyard were her bare shoulders. It may seem silly nowadays, but 8 centuries ago it was considered indecent, and it was a shock. Estalaria gave importance to what happened, but contrary to expectations, she cut the sleeves of all her spring and summer dresses. Due to this fact, she gained the nickname of Estalaria the Bold wherever she went. Estalaria's nights have also changed since she won her telescope. The bedtime for her was the time to observe. It was not uncommon, the reports of the people, about a sparkling star every night in the Princess Tower. When Estalaria pointed her telescope to the sky, she didn't lower it so soon. She was so fascinated that she went so far as to believe that the stars spoke to her. I never argued. After all, I had seen a lot in this universe. Initially, these messages of the stars said when there would be storms, frosts, meteor showers, and eclipses. That is, only weather and astronomical forecasts. However, there were some interesting cases where messages only made sense after an event, like the message that said, "The moon is swollen and yellow, how close it is to the horizon," deciphered days before Lunaria contracted an illness that left her swollen and yellowish skin, that almost killed her. Or, "A new forest will be born from a tree," days before Lady Forest announces her quadruplet pregnancy. Or, "Among the stars there are rocks that move and make wishes," shortly before Estalaria began her love affair with Jet Stone. In the year 43, a few days after Estalaria's 15th birthday, Usagina organized a festival in her honor. Estalaria received a song called The Maiden with the Starry Hair. It was the first princess song in Muni's history. In the year 44, Estalaria announced her engagement to Jet Stone, but her joy didn't last long. A few days later, she lost her grandmother, and 3 months later, her father. Whether or not she predicted these deaths is still the stage for speculation. In 45 a.m., Estalaria married Jet Stone. She was 17 and he was 21. Estalaria was elevated to the rank of queen shortly after the ceremony, being the youngest queen crowned until then. Despite her young marriage, Estalaria wouldn't have children anytime soon. It was 9 years of attempts, but while the heiress didn't come, she focused on perfecting her magic and, of course, on her duties as Queen of Muni. The first years of Estalaria's reign were quiet. All she had to do was manage what her mother and grandmother had done. Everything was going well, until a dry spell hovered over the kingdom in the year 50. The wells had dried, the water was scarce, and the corn didn't grow in the fields. It was the first time in its history that Muni met that situation. When consulting the stars, what Estalaria received was, "If the field of stars allows a small light, sky and earth will meet." What did it mean? She didn't know. The answer would only come a week later during a dinner with her siblings. When Estalaria sought the advice of her brother, Red Dwarf, at age 17, suggested she go to the Cloud Kingdom of the Ponyheads and negotiate an agreement with King Ponyhead to make it rain in Muni. Estalaria complied with this suggestion and went to the Ponyheads' kingdom, where she got an agreement with King Ponyhead, establishing for the first time an agreement between Muni and a neighboring kingdom. The event also marked Estalaria as the first queen to leave Muni in diplomacy. With the drought problem resolved, Estalaria appointed Red Dwarf as her personal advisor. The strapless dresses of Estalaria remained a subject in Muni. However, rather than being tried, it was adopted as a fashion, especially by Munian noblewomen, making Estalaria the first queen to launch fashion. The year 51 was of bittersweet surprises. Orbita and Lunaria became pregnant, as did Red Dwarf's wife. Estalaria was happy for her siblings, but resentful for not having a family for herself. She felt a little lonely, even with the constant presence of her beloved husband. Until in 53, Estalaria received the following message: "The field of stars carries a seed of stone." The next morning, dizziness and confirmation. Estalaria was pregnant. In the year 54 a.m., the night before the birth, Estalaria received the following message: "At the end of the old night, be it dark or starry, a solitary star announces the sunrise, which will bring the light of day before the new night." The original text isn't as well known as the reinterpretation of Queen Estalaria herself. A star queen opens an era, followed by a queen of the day after a period of several queens of the night. This sentence would be known as the legacy of Estalaria. The next morning, at age 26, Estalaria gave birth to her firstborn, Princess Hemera Butterfly, a girl with black hair and pink triangles on her cheeks. 4 years later, the second child, Nixie Butterfly, was born. She had a purple ringed planet on each cheek. In 60 a.m., Usagina passed away at the age of 56. The loss almost complicated the pregnancy of Estalaria, who was expecting the third child. 4 months later, a boy was born, Nightly Butterfly. In 68, on Hemera's 14th birthday, Estalaria sent her firstborn to study at Elvendor. 4 years later, in 74, Hemera would return, and Estalaria would pass the crown to her, putting an end to her reign in 76 a.m., at 48 years old. She witnessed Hemera complete the construction of Butterfly Castle and give birth to her granddaughter, Cosmica, both in the year 79. Estalaria's hair was losing its stars with each passing year. "The last star goes out and the night falls" was one of the last messages that Estalaria had deciphered from the stars. She died in 90 a.m. at age 62 of natural causes, after the last star of her hair went out.